you must have heard of this unique country, where everything seems to be allowed. Maybe you know Colombia for its love of soccer, stories related to Pablo Escobar, or the vibrant nights of Bogotá and Medellín. This is a country where happiness and freedom are seen everywhere. We are talking about a nation that is 5 times the size of Ecuador in terms of land area, with a population of 52 million people and an area of 1,000 square kilometers. It is the second most populous country in South America, after Brazil. But living in a developing country with such a large population has its own complexities. This has led some women to engage in prostitution and many men to get involved in criminal activities. The history of Colombia dates back to ancient times, before the arrival of the Spaniards in the Americas. At that time, the region that is now Colombia was inhabited by different indigenous groups. The first Spanish explorers to reach Colombian lands were Alonso de Ojeda and Juan de la Cosa in 1499. Later, several exploratory expeditions passed through the coastal region, leading to the founding of the first Colombian city, Santa Maria, in 1525. Cartagena was established 8 years later, in 1533. In 1810, the regions that made up New Granada revolted against Spanish rule, with the exception of Santa Marta, Riohacha, and the areas that are now Panama and Ecuador. The quest for independence began with various organizations and events, initially led by Antonio Nariño and Camilo Torres Tenorio. Later, the fight for independence was led by Simón Bolívar and Francisco de Paula Santander, culminating in the successful Battle of Boyacá in 1819. In 1830, the Great Colombia was established, encompassing the territories that are now Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, and Ecuador, under the leadership of Simón Bolívar. Over time, these countries gradually separated, becoming 4 independent nations in 1903. Over the course of about a century, power in the Great Colombia was contested between the conservative and liberal parties, leading to a protracted civil war due to the rivalry between these factions. In 1948, the assassination of a liberal leader triggered riots in Bogotá, known as the Bogotazo, which spread throughout the country and resulted in many deaths. This eventually led the liberals and conservatives to share power. However, former members of the Liberal Party established the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, FARC, in 1964. In the following years, other insurgent organizations like the National Liberation Army, ELN, and the April 19 Movement, M19, emerged, further exacerbating the civil conflict. In the 1980s, cocaine production significantly increased in Colombia, making the country the world's largest producer of this substance, contributing to 79% of global production. Before we continue, don't be shy and leave your like to help us keep producing more content like this for you. Medellín, a city that, when seen from above, resembles Hong Kong. Despite being a small area, covering approximately 382 square kilometers, it houses nearly 3 million people. Just a few decades ago, Medellín was considered the most dangerous city in the world, but things have changed. Even though there are still some troubled areas, criminal gangs have virtually disappeared. The city, once a stronghold of cartels, is now the most sought-after tourist destination in Colombia. People are drawn to this unique transformation. When they visit Medellín, many make a point of visiting the tomb of Pablo Escobar, the founder of the Medellín cartel. Escobar became an iconic figure in series and movies worldwide, but he was killed by agents supported by the United States. After that period, Medellín and Colombia embarked on a renewal process to change their negative image. Over time, they have partially dispelled that damaging image. Streets that were once avoided have become tourist attractions. The city is filled with street artists and graffiti. The area known as Comuna 13 is one of the most photographed places in the country, where life thrives. Medellín is a welcoming city, and its shopping malls are always bustling. Tourists from all over the world are attracted to Colombia, largely due to the devaluation of the Colombian peso against the US dollar. Now, let's talk about the cost of living in Colombia. Renting a 3-bedroom apartment in Bogotá costs around $700, while in Cali, a similar apartment ranges from $280 to $380. Many people, especially singles, choose to rent a room in a family house or share an apartment, significantly reducing housing expenses. The truth is, people living there don't have the same comfort as tourists. But in Colombia, they use Uber, which provides affordable transportation to get anywhere in Medellín, avoiding the crowds and the congestion of public buses. However, many locals prefer to use motorcycles because having a car is difficult for most Colombians, who need to spend the majority of their money on basic necessities. For these reasons, Colombia is often compared to the Thailand of South America, where food and entertainment are affordable, but the unemployment rate is high. On the streets, you can see street vendors, and people can make a living by dancing or cleaning car windows at traffic lights. People in Colombia don't judge your financial situation and are willing to share moments with you. Furthermore, Colombian authorities generally do not interfere in these interactions. Prostitution is legal in the country, and the police typically focus on drug-related issues rather than interpersonal interactions. If you want to connect authentically with Colombians, dance is one of the primary ways to do so. The music doesn't stop until morning, and people are always engaged in dancing. Ultimately, when the minimum wage in a country is low, and unemployment is high, people find creative ways to maintain a reasonable standard of living. Medellín is a notable example of this, as is Bogotá, the capital of the country, a metropolis with a population of 7 million people known for its street art and organization. And this is how Colombia reveals itself, a country of vibrant colors, passionate rhythms, and welcoming people. If you're planning to visit this incredible place, be prepared for a unique experience, where money can open doors, but true wealth lies in the connections you will make with Colombians. So, get ready to dance to the sounds of Latin rhythms, savor local cuisine, explore streets filled with art, and, above all, immerse yourself in a culture that celebrates life like no other place. Colombia is waiting for you with open arms, ready to share its joy and hospitality. Thank you for watching this far. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss the upcoming videos. Goodbye.